Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Great to have you here with me for this edition of severe weather and winter storm coverage here. We are looking at a tremendous amount of severe weather, along with a nor'easter that could be developing here into parts of the Northeast, East Coast, and Southeast Canada, bringing a early springtime heavy wet snow event. We're going to look at the areas that could see the heaviest snowfall totals as this storm looks to stall for quite some time. And we're also going to be analyzing the severe weather portion of this system, looking at a tremendous amount of severe weather, damaging wind, large hail, but the big concern is tornadoes as this spreads from the plains eastward to the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys, and eventually the mid-Atlantic over the next couple days. We'll look at which areas could see the greatest risk of severe weather as we head through the middle part of this week. For this segment of MeteoMark's Weather, winter versus spring. Let's get into it. And the big culprit this week is going to be a massive trough kicking in across the east here, and it doesn't have any place to go due to massive blocking across northeastern Canada and Greenland. You can see this system is going to be camped out across the east and give way to a nor'easter style system in early spring. And I'll be going over exactly which areas could be seeing the highest snowfall accumulations Wednesday night, Thursday into Friday as a nor'easter stalls across the Northeast. Higher elevations could be picking up 6 to 12 inches with locally higher amounts 2 feet plus, and even Southeast Canada here into Ontario and Quebec. And the wind field with this system is going to be a major factor as we get into parts of the Midwest, into the Northeast and Southeast Canada. We could be seeing wind gusts upwards of 50 and maybe even 60 miles per hour in some locations Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday. As we take a look at later on Monday evening and Monday night, we are looking at that rare moderate risk of severe weather here across north central Texas, especially Oklahoma, and an enhanced risk here into the orange zone. So the red and the orange, enhanced and moderate. This is going to be a very dangerous situation for tornadoes as we stretch through Monday evening into Monday night and early Tuesday morning. And stretching eastward here, enhanced risk across the Tennessee River Valley, Ohio River Valley as we spread to Tuesday. And Tuesday night could be looking at a big tornado outbreak here in our enhanced risk. All right, so for the GFS here, we're going to take a look and then we'll look at the European model. You can see as we head through the rest of your Monday afternoon and evening, look at what's going on here across the midsection. This is where we're going to see some extremely severe thunderstorms here across the eastern plains here, central plains towards the Ohio Valley and eventually parts of the mid-Atlantic. This is racing towards the eastward as we head overnight into Indiana, parts of Ohio. We start to get that heavy wet snowstorm on the backside here into parts of Wisconsin, and then severe weather continuing back east here as we head towards your Tuesday. So April 2nd here, you can see what's going on. The snow is setting up just to the north here with this system. And as we continue to play this out here, you can see what's going to happen. The system racing to the east, another severe weather outbreak here across parts of the South and Mid-Atlantic as we head on Tuesday night into there it is, 8 p.m. Tuesday night. You can see those storms racing from the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. 8 a.m. on Wednesday. This storm really starts to turn into a blizzard here on the backside. You can see that heavy wet snow wrapping around. Wind and thunderstorms here across the east. You can see that continuing to the east here as we head throughout the day. On Wednesday, 2 p.m., we start to see that secondary low development right around in the mid-Atlantic here. Our primary low weakening as it's transferring that energy to the area of the nation's capital. Now, you can see here into southern Ontario and Quebec, we're starting to get that heavy wet snow kicking in, that mixed precipitation. Let's go to 5 a.m. on this is Thursday morning. So let's just back this up just a hair because this is where we're going to start to see the cold air really factor in here. 11 p.m. Wednesday night here. So low pressure bombing out here near New York City, 986 millibars. It's going to be really dependent on how much cold air and wraparound moisture we can get going here, especially the higher elevations. This will be starting at night, so you could get accumulations down to the valleys of a slushy inch or less, but up above those 1,100-foot areas, you could really start to rack up these snowfall totals here into the Appalachians as well, so watch out for that. Changing to snow showers here across parts of the Ohio Valley. You can see southern Ontario and Quebec really getting on it. Eventually, New Brunswick here. Look at the heavy wet snow, especially the mountainous terrain here as we head through the rest of Wednesday morning here. 5 a.m., just before you're starting to wake up here, that low cranking just east of Boston, filling in. It's going to be elevation dependent here into much of the Northeast. And then now as we continue here on the rest of, say, Thursday here, you can see 5 p.m. continuing. So Thursday afternoon, this low pressure system just winding up just east of Boston, 986 millibars, higher elevation snow and valley rain and snow mix continuing as we head towards, say, Thursday night into early Friday here. That low bombing here near Portland, Maine and the Gulf of Maine, and it does start to retrograde back towards the southwest on Friday. Back inland here, this storm has no place to go. It's blocked up here by this massive high here, camped out across northeastern North America and Greenland. So we're going to continue to that lake enhancement here back on the far back side of this low pressure system. And as you can see, Friday into Saturday morning, this is 5 a.m. Saturday morning. Look at the low, hasn't moved much. It's kind of just bouncing around here with moisture continuing. And finally, towards the middle of the weekend, we do start to pull away some of this moisture away from the Northeast and Southeast Canada, but it's going to be a long, drawn-out event here as we continue to go in time. I want to draw your attention just as this low gets cranking southeast of New York City. This is on Wednesday evening at 11 p.m. You can see just how intense some of these bands could be on the backside of the system that's getting cranked up here. So this is when things really start to go downhill as far as snowfall, heavy, intense, 2 a.m. there across upstate New York and northern New England. And there it is, 2 p.m. on, this is the 4th, so Thursday afternoon. We're just continuing to crank up these snowfall totals across the Northeast and Southeast Canada here. All right, so if we compare that with the European model here, it is in a lot of good agreement here. Lots of severe weather here as we head through Monday evening, Monday night, and Tuesday. You can see the low pressure moving up towards St. Louis by 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning, overrunning precipitation to the northeast here. And there's that convection getting into the Ohio Valley we see on Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday night. Severe weather spreading to the east and towards the Tennessee River Valley. There's our first low pressure system winding up across southern Michigan. And watch this, our second one's going to be forming right around our nation's capital here as we head to 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning. You can see that squall line moving to the east. And here it is. We see a couple areas of low pressure trying to take over here. The primary low heading up towards parts of the Great Lakes here with heavy snow, almost blizzard-like on the northwest side. And then back towards the east here, there's our low pressure system starting to take shape here as we head up into parts of the Northeast. Now, as we continue in time here, you can see low pressure really initializing 2 a.m. This is Thursday morning here, just southeast of New York City. To the northwest of it, that's where the higher elevation snow is going to be kicking in here across the interior parts of the Northeast. And watch how this low just bounces around. We do start to see that western low start to move in line with the eastern low, and it's really going to help energize this low pressure system as this moisture belt just continues to the northern side. Look at southeast Canada there, southern Ontario and Quebec. You're in the prime region as well as New Brunswick for heavy snows here. There it is, the Gulf of Maine here, 8 p.m. on the 4th, so Thursday evening. So Wednesday night into Thursday night. This time of year when the sun angle's high, that's where you're going to see the heaviest snowfall accumulations. Even some of the valley locations below 1,100 feet could mix with snow at times, a slushy inch or so. It's the higher terrain, though, above 1,100 feet, particularly above 1,500. That's where you're going to see 6, 12, maybe 18. Some areas in northern New England, southeastern Canada, like southern Quebec and New Brunswick, it would not be surprised 1 to 2, maybe as much. There may be a 3-foot report in some of the highest mountaintops here. So stay tuned for that. Widespread 25 to 35 centimeters here across southeast Canada, maybe locally higher. So stay tuned for this. Look at this. This is 11 p.m. on April 5th. This is heading on into Friday night. We're still dealing with it. And you're going to continue to get lake enhancement southeast of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario from this too. And you know the winds are going to be howling too. Let me just back this up just a little bit. You can see these isobars. The wind is just going to be howling with this system. Tremendous amount of wind field with it. It doesn't start to pull away until later on. Here we go. Saturday. But even then, we're still dealing with some snow showers mixing with rain showers here into parts of the Northeast. The culprit for not allowing the system to move out very readily is this high pressure system up here over northeastern North America. So you can see this is just going to continue to hang out into the middle part of the weekend until it finally starts to move away April 7th and into the 8th. Look at that. All right, so if we take a look at our future radar here, HRRR future radar for severe weather, as we head on into Monday evening, you can see the areas that we're going to see the greatest risk of severe weather: Oklahoma, Texas, even central and southern Texas here. Watch out for a few tornadic cells, but look at here into parts of Missouri and Oklahoma. This is going to converge on you overnight, even down into parts of San Antonio, Dallas area. Watch out for a few stray tornadoes, and this is going to be stretching eastward throughout the night. You can see, look what's happening here. There is a tremendous amount of activity going on with the squall line. It's going to push north. Most of the energy consolidating over the Ohio Valley overnight, 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So a mesoscale convective system really cranking here across northern Kentucky, southern part of Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. You can see West Virginia, you're going to be in the crosshairs as we get towards 8 a.m. So as you're heading off to work and potentially school, look at that. Squall lines continuing. Now watch this area back to the west. This is where we're going to start to see a resurgence of energy here. So this is going to be heading to the east. We'll still get some scattered strong storms, maybe Harrisburg southward here into parts of Virginia, Delmarva area. This is a noon hour on Tuesday. Now watch what starts to converge here and develop to your west. You start to see here in the Tennessee River Valley, very concerned about this area for tornadoes development later on Tuesday. Now look what starts to get going here across the Ohio Valley in the Midwest here. Severe thunderstorms, the squall line starting to really solidify as this energy gets cranking. Indianapolis by 5 p.m., your evening commute. And look at here across Knoxville, Tennessee, these areas, this is very concerning here down into parts of the Tennessee River Valley. And then you get the squall line up here into parts of Ohio. Some of these could actually rotate, and I'll show you on the SigTor parameter. It gets pretty far north here into Ohio. By 7 p.m., 8 p.m., look at this squall line. We have two squall lines, one across Tennessee, Knoxville, Chattanooga, Birmingham, these areas, and then a big area up here just west of Cleveland, Mansfield, Columbus. This is by 8 p.m. You're going to be looking at a tremendous amount of severe weather. This is going to be racing east. Cleveland, 9 p.m., Columbus, stretching down into eastern Kentucky. This is continuing across parts of the south here, eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, and western Virginia here. So watch out. This line races to the east. Thankfully, it does start to become, a little bit weaker here into parts of the Northeast, but we still could see the squall line produce damaging winds in excess of 50, 60 miles per hour here. Pittsburgh, it's going to be really close for you. Watch out. You may see some of these stronger cells. Then we get energized on the southern part of this line back down towards Alabama and Georgia. So we're going to continue to watch for this as this line gets energized further south and eastward here. And look at this. We might actually see a resurgence of some stronger cells here into the parts of the mid-Atlantic by Wednesday morning. And if we take a look at the last frame here, you can see another squall line is developing back towards West Virginia in eastern Kentucky and Tennessee here. So definitely got to watch out for this. Flood threat up here into parts of the Northeast and damaging wind, large hail from the mid-Atlantic southward to the Gulf Coast. All right, so our SigTor parameters here, this gives us a good idea of where the tornadoes are going to form as we head through 8 p.m. on Monday. Look at those parameters. Anywhere from 1 to 2 here into the grays. These areas that are yellow and orange, we're getting up towards 3 to 4. Now watch this as we head overnight. Some of these fuchsia color areas, upwards of 5 to 6 on the SigTor parameters here. This is crazy. 4, 5, 6 range. That's where you're going to see all the way down to San Antonio. This is towards 11 p.m. Watch out. This area consolidates towards the northeast, so we're going to continue with the tornado threat across southern Missouri here towards Evansville. So watch this, Louisville, and then we see a generalized widespread threat. Look at this as we head towards 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And that stretches off towards parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisville, Indianapolis. This is where we're getting solid 3 to 4s. And then we start to see these returns closer to the 5, 6 range. Indianapolis, Columbus. You are going to be having some severe issues here with potential rotating thunderstorms. Even down towards Knoxville, these areas, Chattanooga, we could see a flare up. This is 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening here. Look at Ohio. Not to say you're going to see more widespread than, say, Tennessee here, because I think you're going to see more tornadoes further south. But the parameters here for rotating thunderstorms are off the charts here into parts of Columbus, Mansfield, Akron, these areas just east of Cincinnati by 8 p.m. Cleveland, it's going to be close for you. I think your marine layer will save you for the most part. You still get damaging wind, large hail, with that squall line right around 9 p.m. And that threat continues towards the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. It's going to be close for you, Pittsburgh, but you probably will remain stable enough. So here on the European model, snowfall amounts there from Wisconsin all the way to southeast Canada and especially northern New England here. This is where we're going to see the lion's share of the snowfall, especially higher elevations this time of year and at night, like Wednesday night and Thursday night. And if we take a look at snowfall here on the GFS, you can see it has been trending towards the north here, just like the European model, mainly across southern Ontario, Quebec, Wisconsin, and then here into Pennsylvania, the far extreme northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and New England into New Brunswick. This is where the highest elevations are set to see a crippling heavy wet snowstorm. Now, if we take a look at the European model here, you can see this starts to occur. This is mainly higher elevations in these areas. European model has pushed further to the north, though. You can see it's kind of missing most of these areas here across northern Pennsylvania, southern upstate New York with just an inch or less. So we're pushing more towards the trend of Adirondacks, white and green mountains up here, the Berkshires, southeastern Canada, especially southern Ontario and Quebec. You can see these areas, it's going to be very elevation dependent this time of year. Now, a lot of this will be starting Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, so you can really crank up these accumulations. But, during the day, the valley locations in particular will switch over to rain showers. But as you can see, what's going on here, especially elevations above 1,500 feet and above, that's where you're going to see those areas of 6 to 12, maybe upwards of 12 to 18 inches. And you get that just here into parts of southern Ontario and Quebec as well. Now, the wind field with this system is vast. You can see later Tuesday into Wednesday. This is Tuesday. Wind gusts start to increase across the Ohio Valley into the Midwest, upwards of 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. And this is going to translate into southeast Canada, southern Ontario, Quebec. And then you can see Wednesday midday, New York and Pennsylvania into the northeast. This is where we're going to start to see Wednesday night into Thursday. Wind gusts, especially across the higher terrain, could get upwards of 60 miles per hour. And you can see that pushes up here into parts of the northeast, a prolonged wind event. This is very concerning, heading up towards Maine, eastern New England, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and southern Quebec. Upwards of 40 to 50 gusts, maybe upwards as high as 60 plus. All right, so wind speeds here, you can see as we increase on Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday. Look at this. Yeah, so we get Wednesday afternoon, wind speeds here into the red. Look at that, 40, 50 mile per hour gusts from I-81 eastward here. Look at some of these ridge tops here in western New England, upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. This is bad. All of eastern New England gets on the act early Thursday morning. You can see, look at the wind just off the coast here, 70 to 75 miles per hour. This is a lot of wind. You can see pulling up here into parts of southern Quebec and New England. This is going to be one for quite a windy storm that stalls out. And I want to show you here on the GFS as well, pretty much agreeing. There it is Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, you can see across the I-81 corridor, wind gusts up as high as 50 miles an hour there through Scranton and Binghamton. That heading to the east there, look at that wind field, upwards of 60 mile per hour gusts there into central and northern New England here. Just off the coast, Cape Cod could be getting gusts up to 70, and this is going to be one for the record books here into the Gulf of Maine. Look at that. Wind gusts continuing well into Thursday night. Liquid equivalent precipitation amounts here. This is going to be quite a big storm here across the east. This is the European model, kind of pivoting the worst of it across Pennsylvania, parts of Ohio as well, southern upstate New York, and then stretching back towards the Midwest here. So this is going to be, a couple different waves, stages here with this system. It's a long drawn-out system that's going to eventually stall here into parts of the Northeast. And on the northern fringe of this, that's where we could see the snowfall. Now, the problem is here, you get this kind of indication here, 2.5 to as much as 4 inches of rain, with the yellows 4 to 6 inches here into parts of Pennsylvania. There's going to be some flooding concerns as well. And comparing that with the GFS, you can see liquid equivalent pretty much on par with the GFS. GFS is a little bit further to the north here. You can see a lot of rainfall here. And then the northern fringe of this is snowfall. So we're looking at a solid 2 to 3.5 inches, locally higher in some areas. Now getting into the northeast here with the European model, you can see as we head throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, look what is going on here. Pittsburgh area, State College, Williamsport, that's what the European model is targeting. And then look at this big red area, that's 2 to as much as 3.5 inches of rain. Really targeting Ohio, Pennsylvania, parts of southern upstate New York, Long Island, maybe even southern parts of New England. And look at this up here, some of this might fall as frozen precipitation, especially in the higher elevations where you could get a very heavy, crippling, wet snow to bring down those trees and power lines, say later Wednesday night into Thursday. And here we go, John sending in some photos here on this beautiful Easter at Officer Diller Station here. Look at this. Looks like a beautiful day. Oh, look at that. That's a nice backdrop there. And look at this. Just enjoying the day here at Easter. It is looking really beautiful with that nice blue skies here across Diller Station here at Easter time. Nice captures here, John. Canadian winter storm outlook. Wow, do I have a lot to talk about here. We're going to start out active out west coast of Canada here, but we're going to quickly really develop a lot of snowstorm action here, particularly southern Ontario and Quebec. This is where we're going to rack up some snowfall totals starting especially on Wednesday, heading on into Thursday. You can see across southern Quebec there with this big nor'easter that's just blasting. Tremendous amount of moisture with this. A good amount of cold air. We're going to make up for some lost time here across southern Quebec and especially southern Ontario as well. This low continues here into the 4th and into the 5th and even into the 6th. We do start to wrap in some moisture, warmer moisture, latent air here into southern Ontario and Quebec. So is this low weekends and retrogrades towards the southwest here. We are going to start to mix some of that with some rain here across southern provinces, southeast Canada. New Brunswick stays mostly snow. We start to change it back over to snow here in Nova Scotia. And look at that. On the 6th, we're still dealing with this low, trying to pull away from Nova Scotia as we head towards the 7th into the 8th. And it's a near miss here for Newfoundland. Please stay tuned if you're there because this could still pull up your way. Still looking at some higher elevation snow here, the west coast of Canada. And look at this. We do start to see a warming trend by about April 10th here. So lots of warm air winning out here. Now, let's just back this up in time here because I want to go over some snowfall here back on the 3rd here across the western part of Canada. You can see this is going to continue through the central and northern plains as we head towards the 5th into the 6th and then continuing into the 7th into the 8th. Well, look at this. I want to make note of this. Look how far north the rain snow line is making it into Canada. So we're going to start to see a massive warming trend go across not just the plains of the U.S., but all the way up into Canada, with snow continuing here into far western Canada. Now, I want to go over the snowstorm once again for southern Ontario and Quebec. Look at this. The time frame is April 2nd, 2 p.m. You can start to see it here across the U.S. Midwest. There it is, crossing over into Canada. Early morning hours of Wednesday into Wednesday afternoon. There's those heavier bursts of snow continuing. Ottawa, you're going to be right on the edge here. Toronto, you do start as rain. Has been the case most of the winter, but look at how the heavy wet snow really starts to kick in. This is 2 a.m. on the 4th, so this is Thursday morning. Montreal, Ottawa, even Toronto, you're getting some big heavy wet snowflakes by this point. And then southern Quebec continuing, Quebec City, Montreal, and look at New Brunswick and Nova Scotia getting in on the act. Heaviest snow for New Brunswick looks to be 5 p.m. on April 4th, Thursday. So we're really kicking that Gulf low, that moisture kicking up to the north here and bringing in Atlantic moisture as well. That is going to bring some heavy snowfall totals here, and I'll go over those momentarily with you. And then on the backside of this system towards the 5th, we do start to mix with rain here on the backside of this low as it starts to fill in and retrograde back towards the southwest. So snowfall totals here across parts of, look at that, southeast Canada. Wow, this is intense. This is just our storm through this whole week. Look at this. These areas of southeast Canada, southern Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, you could be getting upwards of say 20 to 40 centimeters of snow. Locally, higher amounts to 50 centimeters cannot be ruled out, but we're looking at a tremendous amount of snow. Also here into the northern parts of Canada, north central parts, and then coastal, these higher elevations of Western Canada as well. So we're looking, even Nova Scotia, look at this, up towards 25 to 35 centimeters. This is a lot of snow, and we're going to be looking at a lot of snow as this nor'easter type system stalls Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday across parts of southeast Canada. So for the tropics here, we got an area of high pressure just east of the Bahamas. That's going to keep things really nice with the exception for a few showers near Jamaica. Those are going to kick off towards Nicaragua and Honduras as we head through Tuesday into parts of Wednesday. Now you see this frontal boundary here across Florida as we head towards the midweek here, the 3rd into the 4th. That's going to push through the Bahamas and then all the way down to Belize here in the Yucatan Peninsula as we head throughout Thursday into Friday. We do have a little tropical wave heading across parts of Central America by the time we get towards the end of the week here. So heading on towards the 5th and the 6th, we get these showers kicking off with the tail end of this frontal boundary. And then as we just take a look at the big picture, you almost get this sense that there's a massive high out here, kind of signifying that hurricane season, is just right around the corner. We get these big subtropical highs. Still, though, we're seeing this tail end of this trough really kick off showers and thunder showers here. Heading on into April 9th and 10th. You see this high pressure building across the eastern part of the U.S. with big tropical moisture heading up towards the Gulf here into parts of the north central Gulf Coast region. Now, as we continue through time here, this frontal boundary just has a tendency to stall. This looks like a big old Bermuda high just camping out right near Bermuda as we head towards April 10th. Look at those line of storms there towards parts of the U.S. So taking a look at the Caribbean here, Western Caribbean, parts of Central America, the Caribbean islands. As we head through the rest of the week through Friday, you're going to pick up about 13 to 26 millimeters here, Jamaica, parts of Haiti, Dominican Republic, anywhere from about a half to 3/4 of an inch. Same can be said here with the tail end of this frontal boundary here towards Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. But the rest of the Central American area looks pretty dry. Now, as we cruise to the Bahamas, all the way through the Eastern Lesser Antilles here, you can see as we head through midweek, we're going to get some shower. Let's get that out of the way. Shower and thunderstorm activity here down towards, portions of Trinidad and Tobago here. We're going to see anywhere from 13 to 26 millimeters, half to 3/4 of an inch. On average here towards Puerto Rico as well. Look at here, most of the central and southern Bahamas dry, exception northern Bahamas. Could see some rain there later in the week with that frontal boundary. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. Okay, so for this week's temperatures, look what's going on here. This massive heat is going to help feed this baroclinic zone, the severe weather heading east for Tuesday. You can see the Ohio Valley, big temperature range, 40s across Michigan, 70s here across southern Ohio. Maybe creeping into southwestern Pennsylvania. That heat pushes to the east coast. You can see behind it here, we're kind of setting up for that cold pool of air. It's going to be marginal for that snowstorm. As I said, higher elevation snow here across parts of the Northeast valleys will be mostly rain, maybe picking up a few slushy inches. But there it is, 40s and even 30s there into parts of northern New England. Look what's happening, though. A massive warming trend here across the plains. A little cooling trend here across the southeast with that cold front. But then by Friday, you start to see the heat really build here. We're still dealing with 40s here across parts of the Ohio Valley, eastern Great Lakes. By Saturday, there is that warming trend. We're pushing those 50s eastward here across parts of the Ohio Valley into the northeast. Look at that warm air across the Gulf Coast, 70s, and then boiling into the 80s here. And then there's that warming trend into the northeast, 50s, pretty temperate for this time of year. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Tuesday into Wednesday, I'm concerned with flooding, especially the large tributaries, maybe at or above bankfall, especially Wednesday as we head up towards 2 inches of rain. So 2 to 2.5 inches of rain between Tuesday and Wednesday. That's not looking good. Now, Wednesday night, the backside of that nor'easter that really gets cranking and stalling, we could see 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, especially above 1,100 feet into Thursday as well. Rain mixing in the valleys, keeping it to about an inch or less in the valleys. But I'm concerned about power outages because look what starts to happen Wednesday. The wind starts to howl at 25 to 40 miles per hour Wednesday and Wednesday night and Thursday, with some lake enhancement continuing into Friday. So a big time storm heading into our area. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, a link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.